Hello, I am Janvi Lokegaonkar, Research Associate at the Maritime History Society. I am going to talk about the Indian outlook towards the sea. There is a lot of evidence that indicates India's rich maritime past. Lothal, Sopara, Muziris, Malabar, Arikamedu, Masolipatnam, and many more such thriving ports existed in the ancient times. But a nation with such a massive maritime history and heritage, the one that worshipped the seas, witnessed a gradual decline in its maritime activities. Not so long ago, crossing the seas and oceans were considered a social taboo. Often referred to as Kalapani or dreaded waters, crossing the seas was considered as an equivalent of losing one's caste. As Indians, we must truly lament this apparent dark age in the annals of Indian maritime history. Samudra Langhana, or traversing through seas, connoted to losing respectability. This perceived sea blindness needs to be countered with the help of systematic evidence. Let me discuss a few examples of literary evidence we have that challenge the notion that Indians were sea blind. The Indian maritime heritage dates back to over 5 millennia. We have glimpses of historical evidence of the maritime voyages and ancient Indian navigational and nautical practices that were observed. Vedic literature and other Brahmanical sources like the Brihat Samhita, the Vedanga Jyotish, Buddhist and Jaina literature, the Jatakas talk about oceanic voyages. The travel records of Greek, Arab and Chinese travelers and seafarers are a testimony to ancient Indian maritime presence. The remnants of material culture, navigational records and other wisdom passed orally from one generation to another are proof that the ancient Indians did take oceanic voyages. This glorious maritime tradition degenerated only later as we became more and more land-bound. The traces of cultural connections of ancient Indians with faraway lands of Egypt, Greece, Rome and the Arabian Peninsula indicate that the Indians dominated the Indian Ocean waters. Moreover, the ancient Indian mariners did not merely practice coastal navigation. They also undertook oceanic deep water sailing. They had an established maritime trade network. One specific example highlights this. Muziris, a port city in the present-day state of Kerala, had been a major center of trade with the Roman Empire. A large number of coins and material culture excavated in the town of Pattanam have yielded recent archaeological interest in finding a probable location of this port city. Malabar was a confluence of the east and the west as it was a hub for the traders. Scholars have noted that there are certain maritime references in the Rig Veda. There is a mention of Varuna, the lord of the sea, who is credited with the knowledge of the ocean routes which were used by ships. The Rig Veda also mentions a naval expedition on which the Rishi king Tugra sent his son Bhuju against some of his enemies in the distant islands. Boats are also mentioned in the Yajur Veda. Like the Rig Veda, the Puranas also have several references to the use of ships and boats and maritime trade. The Varaha Purana mentions people who have sailed far into the ocean in search of pearls and oysters. The Jataka Mala, belonging to the period between 4th century before Common Era to 1st century Common Era, also provide information about the navigation through sea. We have the Suparaka Jataka, which mentions the attributes of an ideal pilot. The dominance of the Orissa mariners in the maritime trade was so prominent that Kalidas referred in the Raghuvamsham to the king of Kaling as Mahodadipati, or the lord of the ocean. The epigraphical sources of the Malaya-Indonesian region frequently mention people called Klings, a word derived from Kaling. Scholars generally agree that it denotes to the people of Kalinga. Tamil Sangam literature of a few centuries before and after the Common Era, especially Shilapadikaram and Manimekhalai, testifies to the great overseas trade. Certain passages from the works like Pattu Pattu, Purananaru and Shilapadikaram specify the disturbance of the sea on the occasion of the full moon by the term Uvavu. Such literary and epigraphical evidence offers a panoramic view of India's rich ancient maritime history, which degenerated slowly and substantially. But Indians by no means stopped sailing altogether or deviated entirely from the maritime medium. Samudralangana existed as a concept, but the Indians did venture on the seas for many reasons. Be it for trade, for education, as indentured laborers, Indians did maintain a connection with the maritime expanse, but it was just not that vast. We became more and more terrestrial in our approach. Thus, the Indian outlook towards the sea was that of adventure and opportunity. We are now slowly waking up to that tradition. Thank you.